Hi, everybody. This is Elektra Yao, immigration attorney, entertainment law attorney, and trademark attorney. I'm here today on my second day to talk about different issues concerning immigration. Yesterday, I talked about the top 3 questions I get about O1 visas. And today, I want to talk about a really hot topic that lots of my clients are interested in, and that is the EB-1A. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the EB-1A is an employment-based green card. But what's really special about it is that it's a self-petition based green card. It's not the only one. There's another option to self-petition. There's the EB-2 national interest waiver, and we'll talk about that on a different day. But the EB-1A is almost always the green card route that we go with my clients. So I wanted to talk about it today and why it's such a special option to pursue. So if you are currently in the U.S. or out of the country, but you have some sort of expertise in your field, whether it be business, athletics, or arts, and let's talk about arts because I work with lots of artists, the EB-1A could be potentially a really good option for you to cement your career in the U.S. long term. Now, what I mean it's special because it's a self-petition, this means that you don't need a bona fide job offer to be able to self-petition for yourself. You need to declare to USCIS that you will continue to work in your field. So if you're a performer, then you will continue to work as a performer, but you don't need a job offer from a specific theater company or production company to be able to self-petition. You need to include an affidavit or a declaration which states that you will continue to work in your field. The EB-1A, like I said, is very special because you can self-petition, but the legal standard is very, very high. It's the highest legal standard for employment-based petitions. So basically, you want to be able to craft your career so that you can fulfill the regulatory requirements of the EB-1A. And there are 10 regulatory requirements. So what's challenging about the EB-1A is that you have to satisfy not only the regulatory criteria, so at least 3 of the 10 criteria, but you also need to satisfy the Criterion analysis. So oftentimes when cases are not so strongly prepared, or you get a rogue officer who's not following the law or who's completely ignoring evidence, oftentimes you will satisfy the minimum 3 criteria, but you will not satisfy the Criterion analysis. And you need both to be able to qualify and secure the EB-1A. Something that was not just instituted, but instituted a couple of years ago under the current administration is employment-based green card interviews. That's the first time that we had seen them in 30 years. And now there is an interview. The interview can sometimes be waived, and it was waived during Corona for many candidates. But there is that interview too. The officer is not supposed to adjudicate or review your petition again. It just should be a simple interview. And I've done many of them, and we can talk about different interview questions that clients get asked during the interview in a separate video. So there are those 3 regulatory requirements. And like I said, this is very special because the EB-1A legal standard or regulatory criteria is almost identical to the O1A. So the O1 visa is bifurcated into 2 sub-visa types. You have the O1A, which is usually utilized for athletics and for business. And then you have O1B, which is utilized for artists. Sometimes there is a profession that can be argued in both subcategories. For example, architects or marketing professionals, you can usually argue them in both. But the legal standard of the O1A is higher than the O1B, and O1A mirrors EB-1A. So some of the standards that overlap, or some of the criteria that overlap between O1A and EB-1A is the memberships requirement. So for example, you need to be asked to join a membership or organization based on your merit in the field. So it's not really like joining joining a club or joining a membership just like that and paying the fee. It's kind of akin to, for example, joining the bar. As an attorney, I'm a licensed attorney in New York State, and I submit an application to the bar and the bar examiners, and then I undergo a rigorous review and also an interview. So that is a membership that is my membership in an organization based on my merit and based on my personal and professional history. And it's the same thing in your career. So for example, let's look at Soho House. Soho House is a really good example because Soho House is a membership organization that really looks at what you've done in your career. And you also need to be asked to join, and you have to be sponsored to join, and you are up against a committee for your membership, in the sense that you are interviewed by a committee. So that is definitely an organization where your membership is based on merit, and there is a rigorous application process to kind of vet you out from others that apply. It's not a free-for-all. So that membership criterion is the criterion that you will see both in EB1A and O1A. So usually those who have a strong O1A case will most likely satisfy the criteria for the EB1A. It's that Criterion analysis that's a little bit funky and difficult, both conceptually for the client and the attorney, but also for the officer that's reviewing the case, because you're basically asking the officer, or the law is requiring of the officer, to really conceptually understand all of the great monumental, impactful things that you've done in your career, and why those things make you stand out and make it so that you have had an impact in your field. So like I said, membership is one criterion that overlaps. Another criterion that overlaps in actually O1A, O1B, and EB1A is the high salary criterion. And remember, high salary can be argued by both your past salary and your projected future salary, even though for EB1A you are not required to submit a job offer. Just a declaration or an artist statement or an affidavit, some attorneys call it different things, to prove that you will continue to work in your field. The way we do those declarations or those artist statements is we actually craft it almost like a mini itinerary to demonstrate to the officer that yes, not only do you have the intent, but you actually have these projected jobs for the future. Another criterion that overlaps between O1A and EB1A is these original contributions to the field. So original contributions, or original academic, artistic, business contributions to the field, these are basically things that you've done that have made some sort of impact. And again, this really is industry sensitive, and it really requires an analysis to see what you've done, because you don't necessarily need to have done something for the industry as a whole, but it could be something that you've done for the company that you're working with that has ultimately impacted the field. So again, that is something that you'll see in O1A, and is something that you'll see in EB1A. Now, because this is so abstract and highbrow and conceptual, the way we argue this is through testimonial letters, is through letters of recommendation from experts in the field that certify, confirm, and validate these contributions that you've made. Because a lot of the times these contributions are intangible, unless, for example, I once worked with a client who created a robot that is used for a specific industry. Now, he created a robot, which is something tangible, it's easy to understand and conceptualize. But when we're talking about, for example, how somebody has influenced the way we view things and digest things and understand things, it's a little bit more conceptual. And these are letters help to break down and deconstruct your achievement and the contribution to the field with that achievement. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about the EB1A, basically the similarities between the O1A and the fact that a job offer is not needed for the EB1A. As I said in the beginning, it is not the only way to self-sponsor. You can also self-sponsor through the EB2 National Interest Waiver, where it is a lower legal standard, and if you have a degree, we don't need to prove extraordinary ability. We can prove outstanding or exceptional achievement. But if you are currently thinking about the EB1A or the EB2 or even the O1A, you really need to start thinking conceptually about your career and the things that you want to do so that you can ultimately end up proving that Criterion analysis. So one day throughout my lives, we can talk about different strategies that have been successful for me to prove the Criterion analysis, because I think that will also help you understand how to approach your career. So the great thing about EB1A, O1A, and O1B is that everything is really connected to your career and what you do in your day-to-day and how you want to structure. So it's difficult because the legal standard and the regulatory criteria are difficult to meet, but it's helpful because it helps you structure and understand your career in terms of the law, so that when you are ready to apply, you've done all the work already. It's really just a matter of translating your achievement into a legal brief, into language that the officer will understand. So thank you so much for watching. And if there are any requests, feel free to send me an email. If you're interested in the EB1A, give me a call so that we can have a conversation about the EB1A or even how to structure your career for the EB1A. If you are interested in legal information about O1s or people who are interested in pursuing the O1, join my Facebook group. Everything is in the links, and absolutely do not forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can get legal updates as they come. Today at 4 p.m., do not forget to tune in to my discussion on the Biden-Harris administration changes in immigration law and how that will potentially affect you, either in a good way or a bad way. So tune in today at 4 p.m. We will be discussing immigration policy and changes under the Biden-Harris administration. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I will see you later today. Bye, everybody.